as far as the podcast, nothing really is changing. And we're still going to bring great information, except you're going to see more one-on-ones with us, bringing you things that we've learned that we want to put out there. I think it's going to be a really, really cool as we go. We're going to be talking about things lifestyle environment, everything lifestyle environment, genetic expression, trauma, mental wellness, relationships.
And
So
our whole thing is how to build a radiant life through epigenetics.
welcome to the Everyday Epigenetics, raw, real, relatable podcast. We're your hosts, Susan Robbins, certified epigenetic human performance coach,
And Kate King, licensed psychotherapist, board-certified art therapist, and award-winning author. Together, we bring two perspectives, two styles, and one shared passion for epigenetics.
On this podcast, we delve into topics such as environment, nutrition, fitness, mindset, social dynamics, and trauma as they pertain to epigenetic expression in a way that's relatable to everyone.
We recognize that everyone's needs are unique. There are no one-size-fits-all solutions for your mind, body, and heart. The true magic lies within you.
So if you're ready to create a radiant life through epigenetics and reclaim your authentic self, then buckle up. Here we go. Welcome to the Everyday Epigenetics Raw, Real, Relatable podcast. For the first time, officially, we are your co-hosts. I'm Susan Robbins, a certified epigenetic human performance coach, and I am with
Kate King, licensed psychotherapist, board-certified art therapist, and award-winning author.
And this is a place where we will be talking about everything, lifestyle and environment, and how it relates to genetic expression. So, few changes here with Kate coming on board to be my co-host. I'm so excited to have her on. So you're going to see that's a change. But this podcast today is really to introduce people who aren't familiar with me, maybe haven't listened before, to me, and to introduce Kate to the people who have been listening to me for the past year. And so you get to know her better. And we're going to tell you how we came together, why we decided to join forces to bring you an amazing podcast every Monday, and what type of challenges we might be facing and how to bear with us on it. And we're just really here to have some fun and put out great information. Yeah, let's tell them how we met. And I would say if you go to episodes, if you have not listened to my episodes with Kate, they're going to be episodes, write this down, 11, 43, and 30. So Kate, why don't you start with how we actually oh, no, you know what? Yeah, go ahead and start with how we met.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, I just want to say hi, everybody. So good to be here with all of you. And I'm really excited to touch base with you on a weekly basis and to connect with Susan and to join our forces. And if it feels as good for you as it's been feeling for us, I hope you really enjoy this. And we are really excited for the ride. So thanks for being here and thanks for having me. I first met Susan in a Facebook group that was podcast hosts looking for podcast guests and vice versa. I was doing some PR for my book, The Radiant Life Project, and trying to get the word out, trying to reach audiences. So I was on the Facebook group looking for different podcasts that were focused on health and wellness, mental health, and epigenetics, because a lot of the work I do surrounds the behavioral, relational, mental health component of epigenetics, which we'll talk a little bit about later. And when I saw Susan's podcast, it was really the only one, and I think it still really is. Susan?
It's one of the very few. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot out there on epigenetics, and if you know how exciting it is, once you start to get a little sampler of what this work is, you want more. And so it's really neat to have this whole podcast that's focused on it for people who are really dipping into their genetic expression and how they can live healthier, more fulfilling lives and just make little lifestyle changes to do. So I tapped into Susan through the Facebook page, and we had what was our first one? Our first episode where you interviewed me?
Trauma and epigenetics.
Okay.
Yep.
And it just went so well. It was so exciting to talk to Susan about trauma, to bring it into the epigenetics field, and our frequency was really spot on, and we vibed really well.
But
So then a few months went by, and I think, Susan, you saw my posts online about relationships, right? And thought I should come back on?
I did on your Instagram. And you posted something and it was about emotionally unavailable people. And I said, okay, you need to come back. Talk about
Yes.
emotionally unavailable people. So that was the second one. That was number 30. First one was
Yep.
11. This one was number 30. And we
Yep.
weren't done.
We weren't done, so by the second episode, we were still feeling the good vibes together, still really having a nice blend of the work that we do, and not long afterwards, we did our third episode. I think same kind of deal, talking about, was it emotionally unav
Toxic. It was toxic relation. I remember these
okay.
like the back of my hand.
Yes, you're amazing.
How to recognize a toxic relationship, when to stay and when to leave. Yep.
Yes. Yeah, so I think after we had done these 3 episodes together, and I was on a lot of different shows as well, so I was feeling all different kinds of interviewers and interview styles and just really enjoying this experience of Susan and me in a podcast space together, we decided to get together in person, which made a lot of sense. We're both in Colorado, about an hour apart, and we
Yeah, an
had
hour away.
yeah. So
Really
we hadn't
convenient.
really met yet in person, and I invited Susan to come for a hike with me in the Red Rocks area, and you wanna take it from there, Susan?
Yeah, so we're on this hike. First of all, she gets out of the car and walks over to me. I'm like, "Oh my god, another activator." And let me just say, if you're new to this podcast, please, 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 because we're gonna be talking you're gonna hear me especially talking about activator, diplomat, crusader, connector, these 6 different health types, and as part of what I do, start out with this podcast after you listen to this episode, go to episodes 1 and 2 with Dr. Cam McDonald. He and I really deep dive into it. It's a great foundation for, like, how I based this podcast and how I base my coaching. So, start there. But, okay, so she gets out of the car and we're, like, the same height. We have the same hair. Same size. I'm going, "Hallelujah, it's another activator, someone who's gonna totally" like, the vibe was just immediate. And we went to the amazing Red Rocks Amphitheater, and we sat there in front of the stage. I'd never been there without having a concert there, and so to be able to sit right in front of the stage as we did 3 rows up on the wooden seats, and I got a splinter in my ass. You remember that?
Yes.
Through my tights. I finally pulled it out in the car when I got in the car. It was like that long. It was
Oh,
nuts. Yeah. I haven't worn those tights since because I'm afraid the hole is gonna blow open in the bad spot. Those are my brand new tights. Anyway, we're sitting there laughing about this, and she says to me, "So I would you be interested in doing" because we're like, "How could we work together?" And she said, "Would you be interested in doing a podcast?" So I'm going, I love this. I could do this all day long. I've already told like Joe Rogan to be on the lookout. And that, yeah, I'll do another one. And so that started us going like, how can we work together and let's put a podcast together that brings both of us in. And then that was about 2 weeks later, we were going to meet again. So I went down to her office to check out her office in down near Littleton, Colorado, and to talk about how we could do this. And she said, "What? Do you think it'd be just redundant for you to have a second podcast? What do you think about me coming on as your co-host? I have been on with you 3 times, and I really don't know what you do." So and I'm starting to be thinking that, "Oh my god, I've heard that before. How have I been doing this for over a year and people really don't know what the hell I do?" Because I interview people all the time. And she said, let's not just interview other people, but interview each other because the information that we have in our areas is so valuable." And so we had just have been evolving from there over about the last, I'd say probably 6 weeks or so,
yeah.
if that,
We've been
putting it
trading
together.
We've been trading sessions and services with each other. So Susan has been coming to me for Radiant Life coaching. I have been doing the pH 360 and the DNA testing. And we're doing this so that we can better support you guys by knowing in depth what each other does and experiencing it from an embodied place so that I can really say, yeah, I know what Susan does. I understand the value in it. And I can talk about it from personal experience while she can talk about it from her professional expertise and vice versa. So, what you're getting
Absolutely.
here is really two different professionals who are extremely experienced in each of their skill sets, but also experienced in the other person's skill set from a client perspective, too. So, we're talking to you from both of those kind of sets of experience to hopefully give you a really well rounded understanding of what we do and how we can offer it through the podcast, through our sessions, and what we're just putting into the world.
Yeah, we're very similar. Like I said, we're similar how we're built. We're both activators. We're both the same number activators, but I joke, you see our energy is very different. I'm the bull in the china shop and Kate's like the china. She's more delicate. I'm in your face. I'm the retired cop. I mean, bam, right? The quick thinking, I speak before thinking most of the time. Kate's very thoughtful. So we have these 2 different styles that you're gonna see here with interviews with the 2 of us like we are now, but also in interviews. And that's where bear with us as we find our flow because we are so different. We're both very quick thinking, but how we process it and how we bring it out is very different. And then coming from what I think is gonna be fantastic to bring to you guys is you've just been hearing questions from me and how I think because of experiences I've had and what I've learned with my career. And now here's someone coming from more of a mental health, from a therapeutic standpoint. And we've actually interviewed a couple people. We've recorded a couple so far. And we've had to really work with that because I'm so quick on coming out with things and Kate's more thoughtful. So we want to make sure that I don't run over her and that she has time to bring out the amazing, really thoughtful questions that she comes up with from her point of view. So you're going to see 2 different very styles that we're learning to mesh. And we might have, there's going to be some funny times where she's probably going to be like, hey, can I talk? Like a hand raised. And we're gonna roll with it because this is raw and real. And this is all about relationships. This is a business. We're personal friends too now, but also in a business sense. Like, how do you work with people who are different? And I'm a very inflow activator, huge connector secondary, and she's learning about her activator primary with a very big side of the comfort needing diplomat. And so you can see how putting those 2 together can be like a, "Oh, okay, this feels good. Okay, this doesn't feel good." And how we are really learning to work with that, and I think it's gonna be it's gonna be entertaining at times for 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 you guys too to see how all this evolves. Yeah. Go go ahead. What's your take for
Well, just to balance just what might be some of the arising challenges of our different styles, I think there's a lot of opportunity for the beauty of different styles that are complementary.
Absolutely.
If we're in a more thoughtful conversation or interview, maybe I'll be able to support more there where that wouldn't necessarily be your strength. Or if we're in a really fast paced, high energy interview and I feel like I'm just trying to keep up, you're going to support more there. And I think if we can really lean into that flow, all the listeners, all the viewers will start to really understand like this is how relationships benefit each other. This is how we need each.
100%.
It's not necessarily for like, an alpha. I imagine with 2 activators, like, we're both very alpha people, and it's not about competing for who gets the limelight, it's about learning how to share it and how to shift and refer to one another as necessary for the benefit of all, and the people
Mhm.
interviewed, the people listening, ourselves as interviewers. So, I hope that we can provide a modeling experience too of how we're really more alike than different, all of us human beings.
Yeah.
We're made of the same stuff. We've got the same hearts. We have the same energies, but we have variations and we have trauma responses. We have patterns. And so it's the weaving of the challenges and the strengths that make relationships really deep and meaningful and beautiful and helpful, I think, for one another.
Mhm. Yeah, it's gonna be like having marriage therapy in public.
Yeah. We're just growing
Oh,
together.
actually in public. We're all gonna go through this together, and I'm all about fun. She's more about comfort, so I'm trying to it took me a long time to be comfortable, many episodes to be comfortable with what I do, and I just keep telling Kate that let go, let flow, and the more comfortable you get with this, the more fun you're gonna have with it, and that's really what I've taken pride in for this last year with this podcast is I have yet to have someone that I interviewed at the end of the podcast recording not say, "Oh my god, that was so much fun." And that's one of the requirements that I've always had for guests. Like the last requirement, I said, "Last thing, have fun and just roll with it." And that when as you get more comfortable with it, that comes. So it's going to be fun for you guys to watch and hear us as we flow with this, and we wanna keep it real because that's what this is, and that's what life is, and that's what relationships are. So you see very different style differences. Kate, why don't you talk first? Most people know me, and I'll bring up my background, but since you're new as the co-host here, why don't you talk about your actual background?
Sure. So I am a licensed psychotherapist. I've been in the psychotherapy field for almost 20 years now. I'm also a board certified art therapist, which leads me to have a really creative take on things and sometimes even offering creative directives and suggestions that get people thinking out of the box and more into their body. I have a training in what's called transpersonal counseling psychology. For you Colorado folks, I went to Naropa University in Boulder, so you might know about that as a place where psyche and spirit kind of meet in an educational setting. And so through my transpersonal psychology approach, I do hold space for the mind, body, spirit, heart, all to be taking shape within a person's life and experience. And it's non denominational, it's open to all different faiths, all belief systems. And it's an embodied experience of being not just locked in your head, where we have a lot of valuable ego, thoughts, patterns that live up in our head. But when we live only in our head, we're missing out on the wisdom of our cellular memory, our molecular structure. This is where a lot of epigenetics will take form in the body and
Alright.
manifest into your three-dimensional physical experience as a human. So art is a natural transpersonal vehicle because creating artwork can and is a spiritual experience where you can connect outside of yourself. You can take your emotions from inside, put them in an external canvas or piece of paper or piece of clay, and work with them in a way that is leaving your mind and moving the energy through your body. So, we can talk a little about that on here. I'll probably naturally bring in some of the creative. I also have a really deep interest in the way that epigenetics flows through family systems in the form of intergenerational family trauma, as well as ancestral healing, because we are more than just the body we are in. We come from a long line of ancestors who carried their own traumas, their own experiences, and wounds, and it passes down through to us. And we continue to pass that through the line with our children and our children's children. And differently than Susan's work, which really looks at the DNA and the physical aspect of epigenetics, I look at the behavioral and relational and healing from the inner place and how all of that trickles out into creating health or disease, depending on the way that you hold space for your healing and access different modalities to release the trauma, to change your minds, to shift your beliefs, to heal on an intrinsic level that isn't physical to begin with, but does become physical as the mind and body create an epigenetic response in your lifestyle. So that's pretty much my work. I have a private practice that I've owned for a really long time called the Radiant Life Project. I'm also an author. My first book is called The Authentic Mother, which was published in 2014, kind of before that word authentic was such a buzzword. And I remember I titled it The Authentic Mother, and people were like, what does authentic mean? What is that? And it's so fun now, the evolution of our collective, that authentic is such a understandable, relatable term. And now it's a really big part of this podcast. So that was my first book. My second book is called The Radiant Life Project. I created it during
It's fabulous.
Thank you. I created it during the COVID pandemic as my attempt to support more people than I could reach one on one in my individual practice during a time where a lot of people were struggling. It's basically a masterclass how to manual of everything I know and all the trainings I've had put into a book so that you can do this at home at your own pace, on your own terms, and do the inner work that I find is so incredibly transformational. And I'm now working on my third book, which is called Mend or Move On. It's about healing or leaving toxic relationships, not just your partnerships, but your families, your workplace, your friends. If you have a toxic relationship with your mailman or your dentist, they are included too. So that book's coming out early 2026 from Johns Hopkins University Press. And I'm sure we'll be talking about it a lot on the
Oh,
podcast.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so my work is really a fusion of coaching and counseling and writing and retreats and workshops and trying to bring this really meaningful inner work to the public in a ripple effect. Because when you start with your own inner healing, then everything that you plug into comes from a more healed perspective because you are starting with a more healed self. And I think that's how we change the world. So that's me.
I love it. I love it. And for anybody that's new here, you can listen to my episode 0 before the ones with Cam. I give my background, but I can just make that pretty quickly here. So I'm a certified epigenetic human performance coach. I am a retired law enforcement and just fell into holistic health coaching through my own health struggles back in, oh my gosh, from 2010 to that started me going towards the. So I have allergy head today, so you guys have to bear with me. My eyes are squinty and burning and I've had like this fog in my head of just being full of allergies. Ended up in 2015 just really seeing what a difference even just making changes in some foods made. And that started me down the road of holistic health coaching, became a certified integrative nutrition health coach. And then I discovered the world of epigenetics. And like Kate said, once you start, you never look back. It's just a rabbit hole you go down for the rest of your life. And that was in 2019. I found DNA. And so I am certified through a group that was called Appear on Zoe. I'm a level 2 DNA coach there. And then in 2020, I found another group called PH360 based in Australia. And they have an epigenetic platform that is AI based, looks at how you're formed in the womb, predominant hormones that drive you. And that's when we're talking about activators, connectors, diplomats, crusaders, sensors. Am I missing any? Probably guardians. How do I miss the guardian? They're big caretakers. So this is the part of me that coaches with your username. So you have your DNA is your genetics that you're born with. Okay. DNA from mom and dad. This is your blueprint. And then you have epigenetics comes into play because you have control up to about 95% of how your DNA expresses. 95% for all of you that sit out there and going, oh, it's just genetics. I call BS because there's a very small part of genetics that you can't work with. It is lifestyle and the environment with which you surround yourselves is what turns genes on and off. That is genetic expression. And we all have some really good genes and we all have some really crappy genes. Everybody's stuck with some of both. And so the beauty of what I do is working with it to dial up via lifestyle or environmental changes, dial up the good genes and dial down the not so good genes that might be expressing. And again, you might have good genes or some bad genes, but what is actually expressed? So you can get online DNA. You're not going to understand it. You're not going to know how to work with it. They'll give you a generic printout of take this supplement, do this. What I do is let's have a conversation after your DNA report comes back. DNA is a cheek swab and say, okay, is this expressing? Do we want it to? Do we not? What are the steps that you need to do to take that action? And then the pH 360 is like your user manual to do all that. It's how everything is already expressing, which is called your phenotype. So you have your blueprint and then you have your user manual. And I put all that together. And then I also do epigenetic age testing through True Diagnostics. And that looks at your pace of aging, what your biological age actually is, because we know that aging is the highest risk for chronic disease and death. And so, really, if you put the three of those together, it is an amazing blueprint of what you need to do. So, that's what I do as an epigenetic human performance coach. And when you understand how you are created and you learn to embrace that authenticity instead of being what everybody else wants, what you think you should be, what your environment has taught you, it is truly transformational to see when someone starts embracing who they are. And this has come up with Kate and I in putting all of this together because again, I'm loud, I'm in your face, I'm the bull, and she's more quiet. And I all my life had dialed that part of me back because I was too much, too intense. Susan, your delivery sucks. This is what I heard all my life. So I never embraced the part of me that I run on adrenaline, testosterone. What does that do? And even coming out with this, I said, I'll be able to hold space for you, but I can't dial me back. I'm going to be in your face and you'll learn to embrace more of the activator in you. And I think see this as a challenge and you will start to thrive, but have fun with it. So we've been even able to bring these things into play with us working together because when you understand how someone else is created, that is beautiful in a relationship because it's not blaming. You just say, okay, that's a Diplo part of you. Oh, that's the connector part of you. I get it. Doesn't mean you have to like it, but you get it. Go.
So I'm just thinking as you're talking, so your nickname's gonna be Bull and mine's gonna be China. I think we should go with that. However, I didn't think of this until right now, Susan. I'm an Aries, and the animal for Aries is the bull.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, or is it the
Can we
ram?
change me to something? Can we change
Maybe
me to
it's the
something?
ram. The Taurus is the bull. Never mind. Never mind. It's the ram. But maybe
That works.
there's some, like, similarities there where I think that I have the same energy that you have in me because I'm an activator too, and it's gonna just shapeshift and show up in different ways through the podcast. So I
Yeah.
I just wanna say for everyone to hear loud and clear, Susan's big, beautiful energy is so valuable, and so much of the work I've worked with a zillion patients and clients, and I feel like everyone has either an "I'm too much" or an "I'm not enough," or
Not enough.
sometimes
Or
both.
both.
Mhm.
Been
Like,
there.
I'm both too much and not enough, and so this bull archetype of in your face and strong and loud, it's got a shadow side, it's got a sunny side just like everything else, and the china, the delicate, breakable, fragile china, right? It's got its downsides, it's got its shadow and its sunny side as well, and so I think we have components of each and of each other. So I'll bring my ram to your bull, and we'll just see what happens.
We'll have a podcast meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it sounds really good.
Yeah. And So as far as the podcast, nothing really is changing. And we're still going to bring great information, except you're going to see more one-on-ones with us, bringing you things that we've learned that we want to put out there, and we're still going to be interviewing people. So you're going to see a nice mesh of several different things coming in, but you'll get to know us more as well, and what we do and how we it's just all epigenetically based. And but coming y- you're the China part I like with you is you're more thoughtful with how you say things. And I've always wished I could be that way. People say things and I go, "That's exactly what I said, but it doesn't sound like that." It doesn't sound so pretty, right? And yeah, so I think it's going to be a really cool as we go. We're going to be talking about things lifestyle environment, everything lifestyle environment, genetic expression, trauma, mental wellness, relationships. The When Liz, my podcast manager, put together the top 5 episodes from 2024 that we did, Kate had 2 of the 5. And that's why I brought her on for the 3rd one when we talked about the toxic relationships, because I said, "Jesus, people want more. People wanna know how to connect in a healthy way." And I think we're gonna be examples of how to connect in a healthy way when you have differences, when you find those things because in the I'm single, Kate's not. But in the dating world, everybody's looking for things to cancel people out immediately. They're looking for the red flags. You can look at for red flags in every single relationship you have. And everything you look for is negative. So everything you're going to find is negative. You look for more of what you find. And I think what's going to be great is we're going to show like just these positives. Everything's coming from a just a positive space. And if you concentrate on what's wrong with people. You're given diagnoses and all these things that are wrong, they become that. And it's very hard for them to come out of that. Some people want to stay that way and stay in a victim mode, and that's their choice. But when you can pull people out by seeing what are the things that you need to help you be your most authentic, healthiest, most amazing self, then they start looking for more positives. And that's where I think, even with us, like, where we have our differences, there's so many similarities, like you said, and that's what you're gonna see because that's really what we look for, and yeah,
And
so
our whole thing is how to build a radiant life through epigenetics. And so, something for you veteran listeners that will be a little different is we're adding on a question at the end of each podcast. And maybe it'll be when it's just Susan and me talking, we'll answer this question. We'll have our guests answer this question. We're going to ask, what are you doing presently today to bring a radiant life into your experience through epigenetics? And this will help you to know our personal stories and journeys. It'll make our guests much more humanized. It'll bring that authentic aspect of every single episode, reminding you that we're doing this work right alongside you, and we by no means have arrived at an all-knowing place. We're practicing every single day doing it too.
never will.
And so we'll share that with you along the way, and we'll tell you how we're cultivating our radiant lives through epigenetics. And we love to hear from you too. Like if you can let us know and send your
Sure.
comments, let us know how you're cultivating your radiant life through epigenetics, and we'll build a community from this really beautiful space that Susan created a year ago and so graciously invited me to join. And just it's so exciting that we're all here together.
That was beautiful. Thank you. And also send us questions. We're all over social media. Everything all our contact information's in the show notes. Comment. Email us, text us, whatever, but give us questions. What questions you'd like answered on anything that we work with, or also what topics would you like us to cover in the future? What types of guests would you like to see in the future? We're open to all of this. We're here to bring you guys what you want. Like I said, when I looked at 2024, not just Kate had 2, and then Ann Larson, who is also relationships, she was the 3rd. That's out of 5. 3 of them were relationships. And I listened, brought Kate back on, Ann's gonna come back on. We wanna give you what you want. And all of it relates to our genetics because every decision you make is turning something up or down. So the more information you have to make the best choices for you, that's why this podcast, as you see, we're raw, we're real, but it's relatable to you. We're not going to sit here and talk in scientific terms where you have to be stopping the podcast to look up every term every 2 minutes. There's podcasts for that. Go there. This is relatable, usable information that you can take with you to help you live that radiant life through epigenetics. So, is there anything else you want to add, my friend, before we close this out?
I feel like we pretty well covered it. I'm so excited. It feels good jamming with you on our first session.
Oh yeah, that's what it's just going to be like. Just we just come in with different instruments, but yeah, we jam. It's
Good.
just what we do. So yeah, and one of our first topics coming up is going to be on fear. Tune in because the world is living in fear anymore, and we're going to help you work with that with some great information from what we both come from on how to handle this because there's no reason to live in fear. So
Absolutely.
stay tuned. Lots of good stuff coming, guys. We've been, like I said, we've been keeping track of ideas. Like I'll text her, she'll text me, what do you think about this for an idea? Let's put it on the Google Sheet. So we have all these ideas and ideas for guests, but please, please, please help us. Help us help you. So thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate it. Check us out on the website. It's everydayepigenetics.co. And again, you can find Kate's episodes there that she did with me, 11, 30, and 43. And share this with anybody that you think could benefit from what we're going to be bringing out here to the world. And then get out there, make it a great day, and be your most authentic selves.
Thanks, everyone. Can't wait for all these episodes with you. And yes, be authentic, be real, be raw, be relatable, and join us every Monday.
Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning into our podcast.
If you enjoyed this week's episode, we'd love for you to share it, leave a review or comment, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Help us get this information out to everyone who could benefit, and we'll keep bringing you the content you crave.
You can also check out our podcast site at everydayepigenetics.co and sign up for our newsletter to stay updated on upcoming episodes. The link is in the show notes.
If you're interested in DNA or epigenetic coaching with Susan, or Radiant Life Coaching for deep inner work with Kate, our contact info is in the show notes below.
Now go and make it a great day and let your most authentic self shine.